Yeah, I know that. I'm going to do an abbreviated version of it. Let me just check to make sure that I'm sharing my screen because it's not showing that to me. Share my screen. Okay, so we're just all full of technical glitches today. So, I'm sharing my screen with you right now, and the first time I recorded this, it didn't get any sound, so I'm going to do kind of an abbreviated version so I can get this loaded for you guys, so you can watch it today. So, here's your reminder of what your vocab words for today mean and all the different concepts we're going to be working with. Mean is just when you add all your data together and then divide it by how many you added. Median is your middle value. It doesn't necessarily need to be one of the data pieces. So if you have, for example, ooh, well, that was kind of crazy. Sorry, guys, my technology is going nuts today. All right, we can put this as like a major flub up on like national videos or something. All right, so if you have, let's say 14 and 15 end up being your middle value in your data, you can't have two medians. So we would want to find out what comes exactly in between 14 and 15. So you would say that that would be 14 and a half. You can also do this by adding 14 and 15 together, and you get 29, and then you would find the mean of it, 29 divided by 2, and that's the same as 14 and a half. So you're good to go. The mode is the value that occurs most in your set of data, and then the range is the highest number minus your lowest number. So we're going to look at an example really quickly. If we have all these students that have different heights, we're going to find the mean, median, mode, and range for those. And when we do that, first to find the mean, we are going to write down all of the numbers and we're going to add those up because those are the heights of everyone, or all the students that we are taking a look at right now. So add all those up. When we have 10 and we have 20 and we have 38. Carry my 3 10s. And then I have 10 and 20 and 30, 34, 37. So 378 is that now. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. So I'm going to do 378 divided by 7. Now 7 doesn't go into 3, but it does go into 37 5 times. And then I subtract that, and I have 2 left over. I bring down my 8. So 7 goes into 28 4 times. And 7 times 4 is 28, and now I have none left over. So my mean is 54 inches. All right. Now, I'm going to get rid of my work. You do not erase your work. I'm just going to run out of so you can see all the data. You don't erase your work, though. You leave it there. Okay? So next we're going to go to median. Now with median, I want to put my numbers in order from smallest to largest. Now, what ends up happening is I'm going to have to look here and keep checking. But in order to make that a little bit easier for myself, I'm going to cross out the ones that I've already used so I don't waste time looking for ones that I haven't used, and I make sure I get all of my data written down in the correct order. Okay, now that they're all written down, to find the median or the middle value, I can just start and cross out one on each end, working my way to the middle. And here, since we have an odd number, our median is going to be 51 inches. Okay. Next, we look at the mode. Which one of these occurs the most amount of times? So when I look at the data, I have 2/48, and then I have nothing else that is repeating. So 48 inches would be my mode. Now, if we had another kid move in and that person's height was 52 inches, it is possible for me to have a mode of 52 and 48, um, because it's possible to have more than one mode. All right. So, and then the final thing we're going to do with this is we're going to look for the range. Now, if you remember, the range is the highest number minus the lowest number. So then we subtract that. We need to borrow. So 17 minus 8 is 9, and 5 minus 4 is 1. So the range is 19 inches. So that means from my shortest person to the tallest person in this data, it's 19 inches. Okay, if I do some thinking, Gina spent that much money over the last 5 days buying lunch. Is mean, median, mode, or range the most useful way to describe her data? So I can't just throw out an answer for that. I actually have to figure out what all of those are. So I'm going to write it out like this. And let's start out with adding all of our numbers up. So you could probably do this mentally. However, since you can't see me think and you're not in my brain, which is probably a good thing, you don't want to be there. I'm going to add all of these up together. So 7 plus 7 is 14, plus 6 is 20, and 29. So 29 is how much money she spent. Now, she spent that over 5 days. So we're going to do 29 divided by 5. 5 goes into 29 5 times, which gives me 25, and I subtract it, and I get 4 left over. Put my decimal in and plop a 0 in there. 5 goes into 40 8 times. So our mean would be 5.8. Now, when you talk about money, do you talk about 5.8? Not usually, not unless you're talking about like millions and billions of dollars. So, because it would be like 5.8 million. So what we're going to do is right now we're talking, so we need to make sure that it looks like $5.80. Okay. And then we're going to look for the median. So what we're going to do is we're going to write out how much money we spent or she spent. And we got 6 in there and then 2 sevens. Remember, since I only have 5 numbers, I can see pretty easily that $6 is going to be my middle number. Okay. The mode, what number happens the most? 7 happens the most. And the range, 7 minus 4. So 7 minus 4, and that is $3. So what would be the best way to describe it? Well, I'm going to say that a range of $3 is probably not your best way to describe how much money she spent each day. And that's at the higher end of how much she spent. So that doesn't really accurately represent it either. Now we have mean and we have median. Now, both are decent ways in this case to explain it. However, I would say that the median is your best way because it is smack dab in the middle and it's evenly spaced between the numbers. It's a pretty good way to do it. Okay. The mean is also really a good way to do it. It's just a little bit below the middle of where you were at, but it's also a pretty good way to explain it. But to most accurately represent all the data right now, I would say median. All right. So that was just a quick look at your skills for today. So go ahead and stop right now, or you can stay on and do a little bit of a challenge and a stretch. So if we're going to find out our info for this as well, we're going to add all this up. And that way, it's our first step in trying to find the mean. This is how much a team won all of their different games by the ones where they had victories. So that's 6 and 14, 16, and 23. Here are 2 10s. So 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 2 more is 12. So when they beat people this year, they beat people by a total of 123 points. Oops, I'll do that so you can see my one a little bit better. And that was over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games. 8 goes into 12 one time. 1 times 8 is 8. We subtract it and bring down. 8 goes into 43 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40. And you have a 3 left over, decimal point, and a 0. And 8's going to go in there 3 times, which is going to give you 24. And 8 goes into 67 times, that gives you 56. And you have 4 left over, put your 0 in there, and your mean is going to be 15.375 is your mean. Your range, if you're going to subtract the highest amount of points minus the lowest amount of points, your highest is 24 and your lowest is 10. So you're going to do 24 minus 10. And your range is going to be 14 points. Your mode and your median we'll look at right now. So if we put these numbers in order, go 10, 10. Remember, I'm getting rid of these. So that way it's easier to see what I'm working with here. And then I put another 12 in there. And then I have a 17, and I have an 18, and I have a 20, and a 24. All right. So when I get rid of some of these numbers to find the middle, I'm done with that, done with that, done with that, done with that. Okay, now it gets a little tricky. I have a 12 and 17 both in the middle. So if I want to figure that out, I do 12 plus 17, and that gives me 29. Now if I take 29 and divide it by 2, I'm going to find what's exactly in the middle of 12 and 17. So 2 goes into 2 one time, and 2 goes into 9 4 times. 4 times 2 is 8. And plop our decimal in there. 2 goes into 10 5 times, and we're all set. So I'm going to end up with a median, or my middle point, of 14.5 points. Okay, now mode. That's my favorite one because you can just look and see. Here I have a couple 10s. I also have a couple 12s. Nothing else is duplicated. So I actually have 2 modes for this one. All right. And whoopsies. There are 7 whole numbers in the data set. So what we're going to look at is it's giving us a hint. It's telling us there's mean of 28. It also just told us there's 7 numbers. So there's our 7. The median is 29. Look at how I'm writing the clues out. And the mode is 31. That means there needs to be at least more than one of 31, but nothing else. Unless there's 3 31s, then you could have more of other numbers too. The least number is 22, and the biggest number is 35. What are the 7 numbers? Okay, so it gave you 2 numbers right there. So we only have 5 left to figure out. Now, our mode's 31. Actually, let's back up. Our median is 29. We have 7 numbers. So that's telling me that the middle number is 29. Okay, so I have 3 numbers here, and I have 3 numbers here, and right smack dab in the middle is 29. It's also telling me my mode is 31. So I have to have at least 2 of those, and there's no space for anything else. So looks like I have these 2 left. Okay. Now, the only other thing is my mean is 28. So if I add up the numbers I have so far, okay, I add those all up. 10, and then 15, 16, 17, 18, and 3, 6, 9, 10, and 14. So far I have 148 taken care of. Now, if my mean is 28, that is telling me that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever my number is, if I divide that by 7, I'm going to get 28. So we're going to go the opposite, and we're going to multiply by 7. 2 times 7 is 14, plus 5 more is 9. So I have 196 is worth all of my values together. Now, I already have 148 taken care of, so I'm just going to subtract. Need to borrow and regroup. And I have 48 left over. Now, we can go easy peasy and say, 48 divided by 2 is 24. So I can just throw 24 and 24 in there, and I have my 2 values taken care of. But you can't do that because your mode is 31. So that's not going to work. Now, you could also say, duh, I can do 47 and 1. But it tells you your lowest number is 22 and your highest number is 35. So that's also not going to work. So what if we took one more away from 24 and we did 23? And we added one more over here and we did 25. So now we have 23 plus 25, which is 48. It's keeping my mode at 31. It's keeping my median at 29. And it's keeping my lowest and highest numbers the same. So my numbers that I could plug in there would be 23 and 25. So the 7 numbers that you would have in your set, sorry, that was a really ugly circle, would be 22, 23, 25, 29, 31, 31, 35. All right, go ahead and do your stretch and your quiz for today. Thanks for stopping by and taking some time to watch this, and hopefully write out some problems while you were doing it too.